Okay, so hello to you all. It's been a long time since I didn't make a video, and I'm sorry for it. There were a lot of changes in my personal life and in the labor life as well. And yeah, now I'm slowly getting back to normal, and I've been working for the past months on multiple updates on many of our products. I'm going to start to release them slowly, both the updates or even new products. For example, the one which I'm going to speak about today it's a new product. Regarding the new product which are going to arrive, I'm thinking about a way of automating the one tool manual strategy by using a multiple time frame approach into it. And the other one it would be to combine Hercules with a scalper for the crypto. And lastly, I'm also looking into a scalper automated strategy for the US market, but there are still some technical limitation coming from the trading view side in the way the alert it's being triggered. And yeah, we are I'm looking into it, and more updates are going to come later on. So the strategy I'm going to present today is going to be called Hercules US slash global investment strategy. It's as the name says, it's not suited for the day trade, but however you can use the main entry, and you can also scalp or day trade position in the intraday sessions. But the automation that it has inside, it's mainly done for an investment mentality. I would say it's quite complex, and it has a lot of analysis inside of it. So let's go slowly into it. Initially, the strategy is being made with the idea of the code. For those of you that doesn't know the code trading, code data. So in this case, the code data, it would be the commitment of traders data, which is a report which is coming each Tuesday. And in this case, in this report, if I'm going to go in the indicators, I'm going to write code. For example, we have this one from the trading view itself, code, and where it was another one, yeah, the legacy metrics. So in this case, for example, you can see that we have different type of metrics: the open interest, non-commercial position, commercial position. We have all of these parts. Sometimes they calculate the long, the short, the difference between them, no difference at all. And at the same time, we have inside of it the data coming from the futures or from the option. It's a very, very complex, and from all my investigation, I found out that I would say this is one of the best tools for the investment, especially if you are going to want to try the futures or options, because this data, it's quite complex and it's very reliable. In this case, with this data coming from here, I've made an average. So in this case, for example, I'm combining multiple metrics within one of them. So let's say, for example, I take open interest, non-commercials, commercials, and traders total, And let's say, for example, more than half of them, are telling me to go long, and the other half is going to telling me to go short. Let's say something like this. So then, for example, in that case, it's going to be like a precondition for the long. At the same time, inside of it, I have added a another part of the logic, which is going to be more or less related with the recession warning. So in this case, for the recession warning, if you are also interested, there is this very beautiful script here, which is the recession warning traffic light, which combine multiple indicators inside of it. Like, for example, we have actual recession, the stock market, the yield curve, the money supply. There are a lot of indicators inside of it. And with it, you can have a very good predictability of, I would say, when there is going to be a bearish market. And I'm including, some parts of this logic within our script as well. So we have that inside as well. At the same time, then we are going to use the correlation system. In this case, it's applied the SPI, but at the same time, I'm making a correlation of the asset SPI with its volatility index. So in this case, I'm looking at the correlation between VIX and SPI. So in this case, those settings that we are here are going to be actually for weeks. So I'm looking that in this case, the correlation within the last, for example, 4 days is going to be the inverse correlation, because we are speaking about the volatility, the VIX and SPI is going to be in this case higher than 50%. And the other thing that we also have into it is going to be, another volatility filter, which in this case is going to come from the EDX. I noticed into, from my testing, it's one of the easiest and simplest, the one to use. So I'm also applying this one in order, to get a better idea about where the trend is going and what's doing right now. And lastly into it, I'm using the VWAP value, but adapted to the dividends. So, so in this case, the dividends are coming, if I'm not mistaken, like for example, we have December and September, so it's coming each 3 months. So this is the VWAP of the dividends. At the same time, once again, for the SPI chart. And with all of this, of course, I establish inside, a series of rules, and, if a certain percentage of all of this is going to tell us that it's a long condition and we are going to enter. And at the same time, I started to make use of the RI function. So in this case, for example, I'm saving the direction, the big trend direction. And then, for example, we are going to have multiple entries. Like you can see, for example, you can see here. So instead of having just one trade, I'm going to divide this trade in 10 of them or 12 of them. So as well, if you are going to miss one of the initial entries, then you can re-enter later on. So yeah, the difference of this strategy compared, to all the other investment that I had one, like for example, the US EU correlation system, I think I had it, and I don't know right now which other one I had for the investment, is that this one, it's adapted the way it is right now, and I would say it works with almost any market globally without any further optimization. Like for example, we have the UX market, but let's take for example the French index, and you can see we're going to be the buy and hold by a huge margin on the French index as well. And then as well, let's take for example DAX, which is the German one, is highly correlated with the French, so it's going to work with this one as well. Another one that we can take, for example, it can be the SMI, which is going to be the Swiss market index, and we can see that it's going to work with it as well. So you can have a very, very nice idea that if it's going to work with the index, probably it's going to work with the most correlated stocks, which are with this index as well. And I believe, I'm not sure, I want to say I didn't test Asia, but we can look into it. I know that Nifty, which is the Indian one, I know that Nifty actually used to work. Yeah, it can work better, but this one as well, it's something. Back Nifty as well, I think it was, well, not the best, but it's something. Okay, 2025, I'm curious, I know I didn't trade it, I didn't check it, but okay, 2025, I think this is the asset, Yeah, for example, with Nikkei, you can see that it's going to work as well. I don't know, Bovespa, which is the Brazilian one. Yeah, more or less it works with it as well. FTSE, the 100, or UK 100 directly. Yeah, with UK 100 as well. So, and then for example, you have the individual stocks that they are going to get very nice performance. Lastly into it, I recommend, the usage of calls in this case. Yeah, of course you can buy and sell the shares directly, but I will also recommend, if you have an idea about how to play with the options or with the future market, especially options, I would say this is a very strong contingent, for the option trade. In this case, for example, of weekly and monthly, if you want expirations. I would recommend, to take an intrinsic value of the strike put. So in this case, for example, I would recommend minimum 0.6, 0.7 delta, although, I like to be full in the money. So I would have 0.8, 0.9, even 1, as a delta. And as an expiration, like I said, I would recommend weekly, or if you want, 2 weeks from ahead. There are many ways that can be diversified with it. And for the stocks itself, one of those that I recommend the most, it would be, for example, the leverage ones that are coming directly, because we have a low leverage within the strategy itself. So like, for example, we would have TQQ. Another way, for example, it would be, so imagine you'd have the capital and you would have a 3 leverage allowance. So in this case, for example, we can also go in the SPI, and in this case we can go with the pyramid order. So in this case, with the pyramid, we can have multiple entries, with that capital, and we can achieve very similar performance with the TQQ, but with a less leverage, with a less drawdown. So this could be another way that you can use it. Like, for example, if I would calculate from 2010 until present day on the SPI, we would have 4.5 thousand with a 33 drawdown, and if I will go with TQQ, but in this case I need to use only one entry. No, but actually TQQ is better. So yeah. But yeah, it's another way. It's up to you, how much you can bear, this drawdown. You also have to get into that. So yeah, regarding of the way, how you can set up alerts into it. So we have inside of it here, we have the message long entry, message analysis. So here, for example, you will be able to write directly the syntax for entry, then syntax for no exit. And once you have all of this done, then, for example, you are simply going to create an alert on the strategy. So in this case, it will be this one. And then in the message, I think it's strategy that open order message or something like that. One moment. Strategy open order. Okay. Yeah, so in this case, you would write this message. So you set up the alert like this, and once you are going to do this with one alert, you have 4 alerts indirectly inside of it, for the long exit, for the short, and for the short exit. Later on in the future, I'm going to adapt this, for the other products like calculus or the scalper and so on, in order to ease the functionality of it. But yeah. So yeah, I would say this is more or less the latest update which I have, for these latest products. Later on, I'm not sure if this week, but probably next week, I'm going to start to release another updates, and I'll keep you informed with. So thank you all for watching. I wish you have a great session of trading, for this week and for the next, and be safe.